is Miriam Salim with the Runner's Mechanic Physical Therapy Clinic. I want to talk to you tonight about 2 simple strategies to improve your training when we go back to races. I recently read an article for Greg Duff with Glory Hound Events about how to go back to training with decreasing your risk for injury as we start to look at the 2021 race schedule. So a couple key concepts that are super simple. One is just tracking your mileage. I know this sounds pretty easy. You can do this using a physical journal or using an online app or program. Just be sure to record every mile that you do. Be sure not to forget about a bird run that you do, or a social run with a friend, or even just going a couple blocks with your dogs or your kids at the end of the day. Sometimes those miles can add up, especially if it's something that you socially want to do and don't really think of it as part of your training. So please write those miles down. If it really looks like they're exceeding what you're supposed to be doing that week, pull back on something to really get back on track with that. The second part is tracking your intensity, and I think this is even more important to look at. There's one way you can look at your intensity using your heart rate. There are chest straps that have heart rate monitors. Using the standard equation of 220 minus your age can give you your max heart rate, okay? So this is just a general concept. That number is not true for everybody. So 2 people can be the exact same age, but their true max heart rate may be different than what that equation spits out. So just know, if you don't feel like you're syncing up well, your effort level and what you equate with that equation, 220 minus your age for your max heart rate, sometimes PTs or different coaches can actually put you on the treadmill and get your accurate max heart rate. So, but that's just a general, a standard way you can use a chest strap. The second method, which is even easier, is using what's called the rate of perceived exertion. So up here I put exactly what that is and what the scale looks like, okay? And in the article I did for Greg, I had a nice color graph. But really all it is using a scale from 1 to 10. And you're just basically judging yourself. 1 is the easiest level. That's when your breathing is easy, your effort is very low, okay? So usually when we're starting to do endurance training, we're still keeping a very moderate intensity. So on the scale from 1 to 10, we're looking at somewhere between a 4 to a 5. That means your breathing has picked up, but you're still able to carry on some kind of conversation. It's moderately hard, and this is where we really look at more of our endurance training, okay? Just know, as we start to increase our effort, our heart rate will go up super fast, okay? So it doesn't take as much work to get to that moderate as it does to get to a moderate level as it is if you just pick it up a little bit more. You're probably gonna start reaching these higher numbers of 8 and 9 out of 10, okay? 8 out of 10 RPE, that's around your 5 to 10K pace, and then 9 is almost your max, okay? But there have been very good studies that use this RPE level of how we judge our own effort, how it is fairly accurate when we look at our heart rate, we look at our oxygen consumption, we look at our core body temperature, our stress levels. This is why this is so important, is because especially now we've been under a lot different stress and duress in our lives. That will significantly affect some of your runs. And sometimes you'll go out for an easy run and you'll just shoot right up to one of these 7 or 8s out of 10 on your rate of perceived exertion. And we still have to bring that back down so that we don't derail our training, okay? So just know that stress, lack of sleep, these are all things that can really affect us physiologically during our run. So using this judgment, this RPE level, is very effective, okay? And I wanted to mention this, how this correlates with your training, is because when we start to get into exertional minutes, okay? So say you have your week planned out with your runs and you're supposed to go out on a moderate run, a moderate intensity run for, I just made this simple, 100 minutes. And that's somewhere like a 4 out of 10 RPE, right? So you go out for 100 minutes at 4 RPE, and that means we have 400 exertional minutes, okay? So say we go out for that same run, it's supposed to be a moderate run on our training program, and either we run into a friend and decide to run super hard, or we're just feeling really good that day, we really push the envelope. We take that same 100 minutes, but instead we run it at 8 RPE, okay, so a much higher intensity or rate of perceived exertion, and that will give us 800 exertional minutes, okay, almost double of really what we were supposed to do in that same 100 minutes, okay. So we took that one moderate run during our week that was supposed to be relatively easy, we made it a hard run if we did that 8 RPE, and now we may have derailed our training for the rest of the week especially in our ability to recover. Okay, so that can, our difficulty recovering can be in all kinds of different ways. We can have problems with heart rate, problems with sleep. It can increase our risk for soft tissue injury. Okay, so if we don't have time to recover from a run that was supposed to be easy, but now we've made it much harder. So just know that sometimes really pushing the envelope on our rate of perceived exertion for a run that wasn't planned to be like that can actually decrease your performance and your outcomes with your training. So this is a really great way to be pretty accurate at that. And to end this video, I just wanted to quote really the idea that drives a lot of this and that is listed in the research, and that's the 80% rule for runners. Recently, Joel Sagast brought this slide out for his Mastering of the Master Runner course. And it's great. It's really just an accumulation of what the research is showing, but it's very true that 80% of the runners that run at 80% of their intensity, 80% of their time, have injury rates upwards of 80%. So this is really why I wanted to first introduce this concept in the article, because tracking your miles and tracking your intensity, it's super easy, and the number one reason that is always cited in the research as a reason that we get injured is training errors, and we have complete control of that. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Feel free to contact me if you have any question, runnersmechanic@gmail.com, or just go to the website, therunnersmechanic.com. Thank you so much.